The photo was still on my screen when my husband walked through the front door. He didn't see my face first. He saw the light from the phone. Then he saw his mother's dining room. The long walnut table. The white taper candles. The linen napkins folded into sharp little triangles. And my seat. The one beside him. Filled by the one woman he had promised me he would never meet again. He stopped in the hallway with his keys still in his hand. Not because he was surprised I had seen it. Because he finally understood I had seen all of it. I turned the phone toward him. Didn't stand. Didn't ask why. Didn't raise my voice. I just let the image sit between us. His mother's caption was still visible at the top. Just family tonight? There are sentences people write for the public that reveal more than they ever meant to say. He looked at the screen. Then at me. Then back at the screen. His mouth opened slightly. No words came out. That was when I knew. Not when I saw her face. Not when I saw her hand resting near his wine glass. Not when I saw my mother-in-law smiling like nothing improper had happened. I knew when my husband searched for an explanation before searching for me. But that moment came later. It began that afternoon with a phone call I almost didn't answer. I was folding towels in the laundry room when his mother called. Her name filled the screen. Elaine. Not Mom. Not Mrs. Whitaker. Elaine. After 9 years of marriage, that was where we had landed. Somewhere respectful. Somewhere distant. I answered because I had learned not answering only made things longer. Hi, Elaine. Her voice came through smooth and careful. Rachel, sweetheart, don't worry about coming tonight. I stopped folding. The towel stayed half open in my hands. What do you mean? It's just a small dinner, she said. A soft little laugh followed. Not warm. Decorative. Nothing formal, nothing you need to rush over for. I looked toward the kitchen where the casserole I had made was cooling on the counter. Green bean casserole. Her recipe. Because Grant had told me that morning she wanted something familiar. I had made it before work. Covered it with foil. Left a note on top reminding him to take it. Small things. That's where women like me disappear. Inside the small things. I thought we were all coming, I said. There was a pause. Not long. Just enough to show the adjustment. Oh, Grant may still stop by, she said. He has some things to discuss with his brother. His brother. His mother. His family. The circle tightened one word at a time. And I'm not part of that, I asked. She made a small sound. Almost sympathetic. That isn't what I said. No, it never is. People like Elaine rarely say the full thing. They set the furniture around it and let you bump into the edges. I see, I said. It really is just a small dinner, she repeated. This time slower. Like I had misunderstood a traffic sign. Don't make yourself tired. I looked down at the towel. My hands were still. That detail stayed with me. I won't, I said. Good, she replied. Relief moved through the word. Not concern. Relief. We hung up. I stood there for a moment listening to the dryer turn. Soft metal rhythm. Buttons tapping against the drum. Ordinary sounds. That was the strange part. Nothing dramatic happens around the moment you are excluded. The house doesn't darken. The air doesn't shift. Your laundry keeps drying. Your casserole keeps cooling. Your life continues making small domestic sounds while someone quietly moves your place. Grant came home at 5:30. He loosened his tie before he reached the kitchen. That meant he was tired. Or preparing. I had been married to him long enough to know the difference. He saw the casserole first. Then me. Mom called, he asked. Not what did she say? Not are you okay? Mom called. As if the fact of the call explained everything. Yes. He opened the refrigerator. Looked inside. Closed it without taking anything. She said it's just a small dinner. He nodded. Too quickly. Yeah, I think so. You think so? He rubbed the back of his neck. That was his tell. Every man has one. Grant's was the neck rub. The tiny attempt to erase discomfort from his own body before it became visible. She just wanted to keep it low-key, he said. Then why did she ask for the casserole? He looked at it. The foil-covered dish sat between us like evidence no one wanted to enter into record. I can still take it, he said. That was the wrong answer. He knew it as soon as he said it. I nodded once. Of course. Rachel. He said my name softly, a warning disguised as affection. I looked at him. Yes. He sighed. Can we not make this into something? There it was. The oldest sentence in difficult marriages. Not this isn't something. Not I'll fix this. Just, can we not make this into something? As if naming a wound creates it. As if silence is maturity when only one person is bleeding. I didn't make it, I said. He looked away. Toward the sink. Toward the window. Toward anything without a pulse. She probably just thinks you've had a long week. She didn't mention my week. He didn't answer. Because that would require standing somewhere. And Grant was very good at standing near things. He changed clothes upstairs. Came down in dark jeans and a navy sweater. Casual. Polished. Family dinner clothes. He picked up the casserole. Paused by the door. I won't be late. I looked at the dish in his hands. Then at him. Is everyone going? He hesitated. Just a fraction. Mostly. Mostly. Another small word hiding a large one. Who is mostly, I asked. He adjusted his grip on the dish. Mom, Brooke, Matt, maybe a couple others. Anyone I know. He met my eyes then. For the first time that evening. And I saw the answer arrive before he spoke. No one important, he said. No one important. That was when I understood the night had already been arranged around something I wasn't supposed to see. I didn't ask again. Not because I believed him. Because asking a man to tell the truth when he has already chosen comfort often turns you into the problem he uses to avoid himself. So I let him leave. The door closed quietly. No slam. No final noche. Just a soft click that made the house feel larger than it was. I made tea. Didn't drink it. Washed the mixing bowl. Wiped the counter. Folded the remaining towels. At 7:48 I sat on the couch and opened Facebook. Not looking for anything. That is how the truth often finds you. Through habit. Through idle scrolling. Through the soft blue glow of a screen you opened because silence was getting too loud. Elaine had posted 6 minutes earlier. The photo filled my screen before the caption loaded. There they were. The Whitakers. My husband seated at the table. His mother at one end. Brooke leaning toward the camera with that practiced smile. Matt raising a glass. And beside Grant, in my seat, was Lauren. Lauren Cross. His former colleague. His almost affair. His it was emotional, not physical mistake. The woman he promised me sitting at our kitchen table 2 years earlier with both hands flat against the wood that he would never meet again. I remember that promise. Not because I trusted it fully. Because I wanted to. That night 2 years ago he cried quietly. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just enough to seem ashamed without losing dignity. I'll cut all contact, he said. I swear. I believed the structure of it. The counselor. The blocked number. The new boundaries. The shared calendar. The uncomfortable months of rebuilding where every polite notification felt like a test. But there she was. At Elaine's table. In my place. And the caption above her head said, "Just family tonight." I zoomed in. Not on her face. On the chair. My chair. The one Elaine always gave me because it was closest to the kitchen and easiest for helping. The chair where I had sat through Christmas dinners, birthday cakes, medical updates, and Brooke's divorce announcement. The chair where I had passed dishes, cleared plates, smiled through corrections, and learned exactly how this family used warmth as a gate. They hadn't forgotten my place. They had filled it. I set the phone down on my lap. The room stayed still. The tea cooled beside me. At 8:10, Grant's car pulled into the driveway. The headlights moved across the curtains, then disappeared. I heard the garage door. His footsteps. The keys. And when he walked in, I was still sitting there, waiting. Not for an explanation. For the moment, he realized I no longer needed one. He closed the door behind him without looking at me. That was the first thing I noticed. Not avoidance. Calculation. He set the keys in the bowl by the entryway. Same place. Same small metal sound. Routine holding even when everything else had shifted. Hey, he said. Light. Too light. I didn't answer right away. I picked up my phone, turned it so the screen faced him again. The photo filled the space between us. No commentary. No accusation. Just evidence. He stopped mid-step. His shoulders dropped slightly. Not dramatically. Just enough to show he understood. Rachel. I didn't interrupt. I just waited. He walked closer. Slow. Careful. Like movement itself might make things worse. That's not what it looks like, he said. Of course. The first sentence always tries to reshape the image. I held his gaze. It looks like my seat, I said. And someone else in it. Silence. Then, it wasn't planned like that. I nodded once. That's interesting. He shifted his weight. Looked toward the kitchen. Then back. It just happened. No. Nothing like that just happens. Not in a house like his mother's. Not at a table with assigned chairs and measured portions. Not with Elaine. I see, I said. He exhaled. Relief briefly. As if agreement had been offered. It hadn't. Mom invited her, he added. There it was. The transfer. Responsibility moving one step outward. And you didn't know I asked. A pause. Small, but visible. I didn't know she would be there, he said. That wasn't the same answer. We both knew it. I didn't press. Not yet. Why didn't you tell me I asked? He ran his hand along the back of his neck. There it was again. The tell. I didn't think it would matter, he said. I let that sit. Because that sentence always reveals more than the speaker intends. Not matter to who I asked. Silence. Then, I didn't want to make it a bigger deal. There it was. Not about me. About management. About keeping something contained. I leaned back slightly. Still seated. Still calm. You didn't think I should be there, I said. He shook his head quickly. No, that's not. You didn't think I should know, I corrected. Silence. He didn't deny that one. Because it was true. Behind him, the kitchen light hummed softly. The house was still. Ordinary. Again, that contrast. Nothing around us looked like a problem. Only the space between us held it. She just came, he said. Lauren. He used her name carefully, as if saying it plainly might soften something. She was already there when I got there. And you stayed, I said. He nodded. Yes. No hesitation this time. That mattered. Not because it made it better. Because it was honest. Why, I asked. Another pause. Longer. I didn't want to cause a scene. Of course. Scenes are unacceptable in families like his. Discomfort is managed quietly. Even if it costs someone their place. So instead I said, you let me not be there. Silence. He didn't argue. Didn't defend. Just stood there. That was the shift. The point where explanation no longer held. Only structure remained. She's not part of anything he said. She's not back. I looked at him. I'm not asking what she is, I said. I'm asking what I am. That landed. He blinked. Looked down. Then back up. You're my wife, he said. The correct answer. The expected one. But it came too quickly. Too clean. As if it had been waiting. Then why wasn't I at that table, I asked. Silence. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Because there isn't a version of that answer that doesn't reveal something. I didn't think. I know, I said. That's the problem. We stood there. The space between us steady now. Not escalating. Not collapsing. Just clear. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't take it out. It buzzed again. Then stopped. I didn't need to ask who it was. I got messages, I said. From your mom, from Brooke. He nodded. They're just trying to... Explain, I said. He stopped. Because that word wasn't enough anymore. They're trying to understand, he said. No, I replied. They're trying to restore something. Silence. Then, what do you want, he asked. There it was. The question. Always arrives eventually. Not early. Not before the damage. After. When structure needs to be rebuilt. I didn't answer immediately. Because the answer had changed. This wasn't about Lauren. It wasn't even about the dinner. It was about position. I want to understand something, I said. What? How easy it was to remove me. Silence. He looked at me. Really looked this time. No distraction. No deflection. I didn't remove you, he said. I nodded. You didn't stop it. That was enough. He exhaled. Long. Slow. Then sat down across from me. Not asking. Just lowering himself into the space. That was new. A shift. Not in words. In posture. I see it now, he said. I didn't respond. Because seeing isn't the same as understanding. But it's where it starts. Behind him, the kitchen clock ticked. Steady. Unbothered. Time moving. As it always does. But for the first time that night, the conversation wasn't about what happened. It was about what it meant. And that is where everything changes. He stayed seated across from me. That was the second thing I noticed. Grant doesn't usually sit during hard conversations. He moves. Paces. Finds something to adjust. A glass. A chair. A drawer that doesn't need opening. Movement has always been his way of avoiding stillness. But now, he stayed. Hands resting on his knees. Not fidgeting. Not checking his phone. Just present. I should have told you, he said. Not defensive. Not rehearsed. Just stated. I nodded once. Yes. Silence. Then, I didn't think it would go this way. I looked at him. What way, I asked. He paused. Searching for language. That it would look like you were replaced. There it was. Not denial. Recognition. I leaned back slightly. That's what it was, I said. He didn't argue. Didn't soften it. Just took it. Behind him, the refrigerator hummed quietly. The house stayed still. Nothing urgent. Nothing demanding resolution. That's what makes these moments difficult. They don't force you to react. They give you space to see. And once you see clearly, you can't go back. Tell me something, I said. He nodded. When you sat down, what did it feel like? He frowned slightly. What do you mean? I mean, when you took that seat, I said. When you looked to your left, and she was there. Silence. Then, I noticed it, he said. Right away. Of course you did. He shifted slightly in the chair. Not escaping. Adjusting. It felt off, he said. Off. Yes. How? He exhaled. Then, like something was missing. I held his gaze. Something I repeated. Not someone. He caught that. I saw it in the way his eyes changed. I knew it should have been you, he said. Yes. Silence. Then, but you stayed. He didn't answer immediately. Because that question doesn't leave room for comfort. I didn't want to create a problem at the table, he said. There it was again. The table. Not the marriage. Not me. The table. I nodded. So you let the problem exist somewhere else. Silence. He didn't argue. Because he couldn't. That's how truth works when it's calm. It doesn't need force. It just settles. What did my mom say, he asked. After, yes. I looked down at my phone. Then back at him. She said it was just a small dinner. He almost smiled. Not because it was funny. Because it was familiar. That's her language, he said. Yes. It means something else. I know. Silence. Then, she thinks she was avoiding tension. I tilted my head slightly. She created it. He nodded. Yes. Another pause. Then, and you knew that when you sat down, I said, yes. That mattered. Not denial. Not confusion. Awareness. So why didn't you leave, I asked. He looked at me. Not away. Not down. At me. Because he understood now that the answer mattered. I thought it would be worse if I did, he said. Worse for who? Silence. Then, for everyone. I nodded slowly. That includes me. He hesitated. Then, number. There it was. Clean. Clear. Unavoidable. The line drawn without intention. But visible once named. We sat in that for a moment. No reaction, no escalation. Just presence. Do you see it? I asked. What? How that works. He leaned back slightly, looked at the ceiling for a second, then back at me. Yes. And I chose the easier discomfort. I nodded. Yes. Another pause. Then, and that made it harder for you? Yes. That was enough. Not apology. Understanding. The kind that doesn't need to be dressed up. His phone buzzed again. This time he took it out. Looked at the screen. Didn't answer. It's Brooke, he said. Of course. He set it face down on the table. Left it there. That mattered. Not because he ignored her. Because he chose not to interrupt this moment. Do you want to talk to them? He asked. Number. Not at all. I considered that. Then said, not tonight. He nodded. That's fair. We sat there. Quiet. Not tense. Not resolved. Just steady. I need to ask you something else, I said. Okay. When you saw the photo, he added. Number. When you saw her, I said, what did you think about me? Silence. Longer this time. Because that question isn't about behavior. It's about awareness. I thought, you wouldn't want to be there. I held his gaze. That's not the same as asking. I know. Another pause. Then, I told myself you'd be more comfortable not coming. Yes. That's what my mom said. Yes. And I agreed. There it was. Not influence, alignment. He didn't just follow it. He chose it. And once that's clear, everything else makes sense. I nodded. That's enough. He looked at me. Enough for what? To understand the structure, I said. Silence. Then, and now he asked. I leaned back, looked at the room, at the quiet, at the ordinary space holding something no longer ordinary. Now I decide where I stand in it. That was the shift. Not reaction. Position. And once you reach that point, you don't argue your place. You define it. The next morning his mother called before I had finished my coffee. 8:06 a.m. Early enough to feel deliberate. Late enough to appear considerate. I watched the phone ring twice. Then answered. Rachel, dear. Her voice was softer than usual. Not warm. Measured. I'm glad you picked up. I usually do, I said. A pause. Short. She was deciding how direct to be. I assume you've seen the photo, she said. Yes. I thought it might be best if we spoke. Of course she did. People like Elaine prefer to control the version of events before others define it for them. I'm listening, I said. She exhaled quietly. Then, last night wasn't meant to be complicated. I leaned back in the chair. Looked out the window. It wasn't, I said. Silence. That answer unsettled her. Because it didn't resist. It didn't argue. It removed the framing entirely. I didn't want to put you in an uncomfortable position, she continued. I let that sit. Then said, you removed me from the position. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, that's not how I would describe it. I know. That was the difference. She described. I observed. 2 separate systems. She was already coming, Elaine said. Lauren. There it was. Name introduced like a neutral variable. I wasn't aware of that, I replied. I thought it would be easier, she added. For who, I asked. Silence. Then, for everyone. The same phrase. Different voice. Same structure. I almost smiled. Not outwardly. Internally. Because consistency reveals truth faster than contradiction. Everyone except me, I said. She didn't correct that. Didn't soften it. Just absorbed it. That's not what I intended, she said. I believe that. Another pause. Then, but it's what you did. Silence. I could hear movement on her end. A cup being set down. A chair shifting slightly. Small domestic sounds. The same kind I had noticed the night before. That table has always had a certain balance, she said. There are dynamics to consider. I let her finish. Because I wanted to hear the full structure. Lauren has history with the family, she continued. Yes. And you and she also have history, I said. Yes. So you chose her history over mine. Silence. Then, I chose to avoid conflict. I nodded. Yes. That's clear. Another pause. Then, you have to understand, she added. I do, I said. That stopped her. Because understanding removes her leverage. She can't explain what I already see. You understand, she repeated. Yes. Silence. Then why are we having this conversation, she asked. There it was. The real question. Not about the dinner. Not about Lauren. About control. About whether the situation could be reshaped. We're not having the conversation you think we are, I said. Another pause. Then, what conversation is that, she asked. The one where you explain it differently, I replied. And I accept it. Silence. Long. Heavy. Because that version was no longer available. I'm not asking you to accept anything she said. Yes, you are. Not harsh. Just clear. Another pause. Then, I'm asking you to see it from my perspective. I leaned forward slightly. Why, I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Because that question isn't polite. It's structural. Because it matters, she said finally. To who, I asked. Silence. Then, to the family. There it was. Not me. The family. Always the larger structure. Always the thing that absorbs the individual. I'm part of that family, I said. Yes. Then why wasn't I at the table? Silence. She didn't answer. Because there isn't a version of that answer that doesn't reveal hierarchy. I need you to understand something, I continued. What? This isn't about Lauren. Another pause. Then, it isn't. Number? Silence. Then, what is it about, she asked. I looked at my coffee. Then back out the window. Then said, it's about how easily I was removed. No emotion. No emphasis. Just fact. She didn't respond. Because that statement doesn't invite negotiation. It invites reflection. And reflection isn't her preferred space. I would like you to come next Sunday, she said after a moment. New direction. Future-oriented. Controlled. Dinner. Yes. With everyone. Everyone. The word placed carefully. Repaired. Reconstructed. I'll think about it, I said. Silence. Then, I hope you'll come, she added. I know. We ended the call. I set the phone down. Looked at the table. The same table where I had eaten breakfast for years. Different from hers. Smaller. Simpler. But mine. And that mattered more than anything she could rearrange. A few minutes later, Grant came downstairs. He didn't ask what she said. He looked at me. Waited. She invited me to dinner next Sunday, I said. He nodded. That's good. Is it? He paused. Then, it's something. Yes, it was. Not resolution. Not repair. Something. And sometimes, that's enough to see what comes next. I didn't answer Elaine right away. That was the first real change. Before I would have responded within the hour. Not out of obligation. Out of rhythm. The family had a rhythm. Calls returned. Messages acknowledged. Dinners confirmed. Everything moved in a quiet, predictable loop. Now, there was space in it. And that space belonged to me. By Tuesday, the messages started. Not from Elaine. From Brooke. Hey, just wanted to check in. I read it. Didn't reply. An hour later. I think things got weird Sunday. Mom didn't mean anything. I set the phone down. Because didn't mean anything is usually the phrase people use when something meant too much. By Wednesday, Grant mentioned it over dinner. Brooke texted you, he asked. Yes. You didn't answer. Number. He nodded. Not surprised. Not pushing. That mattered. She's just trying to smooth things over, he said. I know. And Mom wants Sunday to feel normal. I looked at him. What does normal mean, I asked. He paused. Because that word isn't neutral anymore. I think everyone at the table, he said. I nodded. That's new. Silence. Then, will you go, he asked. I didn't answer immediately. Because this wasn't about attendance. It was about position. I haven't decided yet, I said. He accepted that. No persuasion. No framing. Just space. That was different. By Thursday afternoon, Elaine called again. Not early this time. Late. 4:42 p.m. I answered. Rachel. Her tone was steadier. Not softer. Not careful. Just direct. Yes. I wanted to follow up about Sunday. I assumed you would. A small pause. Then, I'd like you to come. Not framed. Not softened. Clear. I heard that. Silence. Then, and she asked. There it was. Not pressure. But expectation. I leaned back in the chair. Looked at the wall across from me. At the framed photo of Grant and me from 3 years ago. Before Lauren had a name in our house again. Before small dinners meant something else. What would be different, I asked. She paused. Then, everyone would be there. Yes. And no one would be excluded. I nodded. That's important. Silence. Then, and Lauren, I asked. A longer pause. She won't be there, Elaine said. I listened carefully. Not to the words, to the structure. Because I asked. Another pause. Then, because this dinner is about family. There it was again. The phrase. Repositioned. Reused. But I heard the difference. Not just family. Defined family. Controlled family. I didn't respond right away. Because now the structure was visible. Lauren wasn't included. Not because it was wrong. Because it had caused disruption. That distinction matters. You're adjusting the table, I said. Yes. Not the system. Silence. Then, I'm addressing the situation. I nodded. I understand. Another pause. Then, will you come? She asked. I looked at the clock. 4:49. Time moving. No urgency. Just decision. I will, I said. She exhaled. Not relief. Completion. Good. We ended the call. I sat there for a moment. Not thinking. Just noticing. Because something had shifted again. Not in what they were doing. In how I was entering it. Sunday wasn't about returning. It wasn't about reclaiming my seat. It was about seeing the table clearly. And choosing how I sat at it. That night I didn't check Facebook. I didn't scroll. I didn't look for anything. Because I already had what I needed. Clarity. And once you have that, you stop searching. I arrived 5 minutes early. Not out of habit. Out of intention. Because arriving early changes how you enter a room. You're not stepping into something already formed. You see it being arranged. Elaine opened the door before I knocked. She had been watching. That told me everything. Rachel, she said. Her voice was even. Not warm. Not distant. Controlled. Come in. I stepped inside. The house smelled the same. Lemon polish. Roasted garlic. Something sweet in the oven. Familiar scents. Carefully maintained. The dining room was already set. The long table. The white candles. The linen napkins. All in place. But something was different. I saw it immediately. My chair was still there. But it wasn't placed the same way. Slightly shifted. Not closest to the kitchen anymore. Closer to the center. Subtle. But deliberate. I paused. Just for a second. Long enough to register it. Not long enough to comment. Elaine noticed. Of course she did. I thought we might try something a little different, she said. Yes, I replied. I can see that. No tension. Just acknowledgement. Grant came in from the living room. He didn't hesitate this time. He walked directly to me. Kissed my cheek. Hey. Hey. No performance. No checking for reaction. Just presence. That mattered. Brooke followed behind him. A glass in her hand. Hi, she said. Hi. She smiled. Not wide. Not practiced. Just normal. We moved into the room. No one directed where I should stand. No one filled space for me. That was new. The table sat waiting. Not fixed. Not assigned. Open. Elaine gestured lightly. Let's sit. No names. No positions. Just invitation. I walked to the table. Looked at the chairs. Then chose one. Not mine. Not the old one. A different seat. Across from where I had always been. I sat. That was the moment. The shift. No one corrected it. No one adjusted. Elaine paused. Just briefly. Then took her place. Not at the head. Next to it, Grant sat beside me. Not across. Beside. That mattered. Brooke and Matt filled the remaining chairs. The table settled. New arrangement. No comment. But everyone felt it. Dinner began quietly. Dishes passed. Water poured. Small conversation. Weather. Work. Routine. But underneath it, something held. Not tension. Structure. Grant reached for the bread. Passed it to me first. Not last. Not after. First. I noticed. Didn't react. Just received. Elaine spoke about a neighbor. Brooke mentioned a project at work. Matt asked Grant about something trivial. Ordinary conversation. But every movement was slightly more aware. Slightly more deliberate. At one point, Elaine looked at me. Not across the table. Directly. How has your week been? She asked. I met her eyes. Steady, I said. She nodded. That's good. No follow-up. No probing. Just space. That mattered. Because before, there would have been correction. Suggestion. Adjustment. Now, there was none. Midway through dinner, Grant set his glass down. Looked at the table. Then at me. I've been thinking about something he said. The room stilled slightly. Not dramatic. Just attentive. What I asked. That night he said, the dinner. No one moved. No one interrupted. I didn't just let it happen, he continued. I participated in it. Silence. He didn't look away. I didn't stop it, he added. And that's the same thing. That landed. Not loudly. But completely. Elaine didn't correct him. Brooke didn't soften it. No one reframed it. That was new. I nodded once. Yes. No more. No less. He exhaled. Then picked up his glass again. Conversation resumed. Not forced. Not redirected. Just continuing. Because the truth had been placed on the table. And no one tried to move it. That was the difference. After dinner, we stayed seated longer than usual. No rush to clear. No quick transition to the living room. Just presence. Elaine stood eventually. Began gathering plates. I didn't move. Not immediately. Not automatically. She glanced at me. Then said, stay. Simple. Clear. Not in order. An acknowledgement. I nodded. Okay. She carried the plates to the kitchen. Brooke followed. Matt stayed seated. Grant beside me. Quiet. Not tense. Just settled. I looked at the table. At the empty dishes. At the space where things had been. And I realized something. Nothing here had been fixed. Nothing erased. Nothing undone. It had been adjusted. Repositioned. Seen. And that was enough. Because once you see something clearly, you don't need to fight it. You just decide where you stand in it. We didn't talk about that dinner again the next day. That was the first sign it had settled. Not avoided. Not buried. Placed. Grant left for work early. He paused at the doorway. Looked at me. I'll be late, he said. Okay. He waited. Just a second. Then, thank you for coming. I held his gaze. I chose to. He nodded. That mattered. Choice. Not obligation. The door closed. The house went quiet. I made coffee. Sat at the same table. Same chair. But I didn't sit in the same way. Not angled toward the door. Not listening for movement. Just present. Around noon, Elaine called. Not immediately. Not early. Measured. I answered. Rachel. Her voice was steady. Yes. I wanted to say something. I waited. No rush. No interruption. That dinner was different, she said. Yes. A pause. Then, and that was intentional. I nodded. I could see that. Silence. Then, I've been thinking about how things have been arranged, she continued. Arranged. That word again. Always about structure. Never about emotion. I have too, I said. Another pause. Then, I didn't realize how much was being decided without you, she said. I didn't respond immediately, because that sentence carries more weight than it appears. Not just about the dinner. About years. I see that now, she added. I leaned back in my chair, looked out the window, at the street, at nothing in particular. What matters is what happens next, I said. Yes. No hesitation. That mattered. Not defense. Not explanation. Alignment. I'm not asking for things to go back, she said. I'm aware. I'm asking for them to be clear. I nodded. That's the only way they hold. Silence. Then, you're right, she said. We stayed on the phone a little longer. Not filling space. Just letting it exist. That was enough. Later that week, Brooke texted again. Dinner felt different, in a good way. I read it. Then replied, yes. No elaboration. No analysis. Just acknowledgement. Because not everything needs to be expanded to be understood. On Sunday there was no invitation. No plan. No gathering. That was new. Space where expectation used to be. And no one rushed to fill it. Grant and I stayed home. He grilled in the backyard. I sat at the patio table. The late afternoon light moved slowly across the fence. Nothing urgent. Nothing arranged. Just time. He brought me a plate. Set it down. Didn't speak right away. Then, I've been thinking about something else, he said. I looked at him. What? How easy it was for me to follow that pattern. I nodded. Yes. I didn't question it. Number. He sat down across from me. Same distance. Same balance. That's not something I want to repeat, he said. I held his gaze. Then don't. Simple. Clear. No lecture. No expansion. Because awareness without action doesn't hold. He nodded. That was enough. We ate in silence for a while. Not uncomfortable. Not heavy. Just quiet. After dinner, I cleared the plates. Slowly. Not automatically. By choice. That was the difference. Later that night, I opened Facebook again. Not out of habit. Out of curiosity. Elaine had posted a new photo. Not of a dinner. Not of a table. A simple picture of her garden. No caption. No audience. Just placed. I looked at it for a moment. Then closed the app. Because I didn't need to read anything into it. I already understood the structure. And once you understand something, you stop trying to interpret it. You just move within it. If you've ever found yourself removed from a place you thought you belonged, quietly, without explanation, without confrontation, you learn something over time. Belonging isn't something given once and kept forever. It's reinforced. Through actions. Through choices. Through who speaks. And who stays silent. But the moment you see clearly where you stand, you stop asking to be included. You decide how you show up. And sometimes, that changes everything.